tonight. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a happy St. Patty's Day weekend. Thanks for coming out to Q102s Texas Tapes Live. I'm Maria Miller. I have a great band for you tonight. Cottonmouth, Texas.
Thanks, you guys. When I was a kid, the second concert I ever saw in my life was the Grateful Dead. I didn't know who the Grateful Dead was. I figured that with a name like the Grateful Dead, they must have been a heavy metal band, like Led Zeppelin. Well, little did I know. My sister and I went downtown and got out of the car. We got out of the car, there's in the parking garage there at Dallas Memorial Auditorium. And this guy in a green army jacket came up to me and he said, "Hey man, do you want any Donald Duck?" And I was like, "What?" I had never even smoked pot before. So this guy said, "Do you want any Donald Duck?" And I said, like the cartoon character? And he's like, "Yeah." And he whips out this piece of paper with 100 little Donald Ducks on it. I was like, what is that? He said, "It's $3. I said, $3 for that piece of paper? He said, "No, $3 for each individual Donald Duck." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Trust me, it's worth it." And I was like, I don't see how that little cartoon piece of paper is going to be worth $3. So he said, "All right, smart guy, open your mouth." And so I opened my mouth, and he ripped one of them off, and he stuck it in there. I said, "This doesn't taste like anything." I thought for sure this guy was just fucking with me. So anyway, me and my sister, we made our way up to the front door, bought a couple of scalpers tickets, and man, I could not wait to see this show. You know, because back then, at that stage in my life, if it was loud, it was good. We got in there, and there's all these people dressed in all these weird clothes, like dancing around in circles and shit. And there weren't any chairs on the floor. And it sounded like the band was tuning up. And they were tuning up forever. They must have been tuning up for like a half an hour. I was like, when are these guys gonna fucking play a song? So I kind of like weaseled my way up to the front of the stage in between all these people and flowers and incense and I don't know. All these weird colors started kind of move around. I wasn't really sure what was going on. So I snaked my way up to the very front of the stage and I was leaning on the banister. And Bob Weir, who I didn't know who he was at the time, but Bob Weir was looking at me weird. And he kept like making faces at me. I was like, what is this guy looking at? Then he started like sticking his tongue out at me and shit. And I was like, man, this is a trip. I can't deal with this at all, man. This is just too fucking weird. Then he looked right at me, and I looked right at him. And we got in a staring match that lasted at least a half an hour. And then all of a sudden, all the guys in the band put all their equipment down, the house lights came out, and they walked right off stage. And I turned around, and there was 9,000 people all staring at me. I didn't do anything. What's up with this? I didn't do it. I swear to God, I didn't do anything. And this girl came running over. Don't worry, man, it's just intermission. I had never been to a rock and roll show that had an intermission before, especially after the guys had been tuning up for about an hour. So anyway, luckily I made it home that night. About 10 years later, I ended up moving into this apartment with this guy, Eric Schwartz, who you guys might know around town. It's the guy who does the Grateful Dead radio show on KNON. And I just casually mentioned to him that, yeah, man, I was at that Dead show in 1978. He goes, "You were there?" I was like, "Yeah, I was there. It was fucking awful." He goes, "Dude, that was one of the Grateful Dead's worst shows ever." I was like, "Yeah, I'd have to agree with that." He's like, "No, you don't understand. That show was so bad that the Grateful Dead didn't come back to Dallas for 15 years. I was like, "Well, yeah, they sucked. I mean, I could see why." He goes, "No, man, there was some guy at front of the stage that was fucking with them all night." That would be me. Smoking cocaine for good. Right about the time the drug lords came up with a marketing concept known as crack. I found it within myself to realize that my head was about to explode. Right there at the table where I normally eat dinner. I'd fallen into this hideous cycle of breaking into these houses in Addison and taking whatever I could carry and then trading it to a dope dealer for a 24-hour bag. This guy moved down here from Michigan and he needed a place to stay. I met him at 7-Eleven. I said, "Oh yeah, sure, come stay at my place." And then this guy taught me how to freebase cocaine. For the longest time, I was the only one around who knew how to do it right. So people would bring their cocaine over to my house. I'd cook it up for them, and then we would bug out until noon or so the next day. "Breakfast? What's that?" "Well, it's a big motherfucking rock." Well, one night, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I decided I'd had enough. So I jumped into a hot bath, decided I was going to try and go to sleep. And meanwhile, this other guy continued to smoke the rest of his coke in my kitchen. Right before I went to sleep, he gave me $1 grand, and he said, "Here, put this aside for later, because I know you're going to want it." I said, "All right." And I took the gram, and I went into the closet in my bedroom, and I hid the gram in the inside lining of a coat that I never wore, in the very back of the closet. And then I went to bed. At about noon the next day, the smart guy was still sitting at my kitchen table. He had been scraping up chunks of detergent off the floor, convinced that it was cocaine. The gram that I had hidden in the inside lining of my coat pocket was long gone. This guy had gone through every square inch of my apartment. All I could think to say was, "Man, get the fuck out of my house. Man, get the fuck out of my house." But 15 minutes later, he was back with a clock radio, trying to trade it to me for the cocaine that he had given me and then stolen the night before.
song about life, death, love, hate, wealth, poverty, racism. Just a few things been running through my head.
When I woke up, I was on a metal gurney in the emergency room of Baylor Hospital. The same place that I had been born 25 years before, and the same place that Mickey Mantle died last year. The first two people that I saw were my parents, together in the same room dealing with my situation and each other. Together in the same room for the first time in 7 years. I had no idea what I would be doing in the emergency room of Baylor Hospital. I didn't know how I got there. I didn't know what happened. My dad was convinced that I'd overdosed on something. But that wasn't the case. Turner, who some of you guys know, is the center of Pump and Apple, was standing there next to my mom. It was probably the first time my mother had ever seen anybody with a full body tattoo. And all I could think to say was, what's Turner doing here? And my mom said, well, he was the guy that probably saved your life. I was like, saved my life? What happened? He said, dude, man, you don't remember? You were in the back seat of our car. Out of nowhere, you started flipping around and kicking and choking and bugging out. You don't remember any of that? It's like, man, I don't remember anything. Because, man, I've never seen anything like that. You look like you were possessed by the devil. The doctor came over and handed me about 25 small white pills. They're called Dilantin. They're supposed to stop seizures. I ate them, and then I threw up about 15 seconds later. I still didn't know why I was in the hospital. It was bugging me out. And just then, the doctor came in with results of a blood test that showed indeed I had no deed on anything. I was as sober as I'd ever been. And then the doctor said, I'm going to hand you a mirror, and I want you to tell me the name of the person that you see. All right, that's easy enough. And then he handed me the mirror. The shock of what I saw ignited an emotional H-bomb. I started crying uncontrollably. My mouth was filled with cotton. I was bleeding. The side of my face was swollen. I had a huge bump on my head. I didn't know who the fuck that was in the mirror. Damn sure wasn't me. What the fuck happened? My dad still wasn't buying it. He was sure that I'd OD'd on something. The doctor said, no, I don't think it looks like that. And then my dad looked at the doctor and said, do you think his hair had anything to do with this? And the doctor said, no, I don't think so. What happened was he had a grand mal seizure. And it's a condition that he's probably going to have to live with for the rest of his life. So now I am. Thanks.
Yes, I did.
You know, when did you leave home?
Oh, quite a long time ago.
Have you been back?
Oh, sure. Very good relationship with my family.
What is the philosophy, or what's kind of this hard thing to ask, but what is the philosophy behind this? What are you trying to do?
Have some fun. Enjoy ourselves. Just try to stay out of the way of hassles and go through life being happy. And you can do it either way, happy or sad. It's just more fun to do it happy.
Now what is it? When did you leave home?
Oh, quite a long time ago.
Have you been back?
Oh, sure. Very good relationship with my family.
What is the philosophy? Well, it's kind of this hard thing to ask, but what is the philosophy behind this? What are you trying to do?
Have some fun. Enjoy ourselves. Just try to stay out of the way of hassles and go through life being happy.
She was working behind the counter of the liquor store. It was the Centennial on Northwest Highway, as a matter of fact, right by the El Phoenix. I was supposed to meet my dad there for dinner about an hour before, but I was a little late. I needed some change to call him and let him know that, man, I'm sorry I didn't make it. I didn't have any change, so I walked into the Centennial. Man, she looked good. She had that look on her face that said, even if you were the last man on earth and the good Lord was counting on me to procreate for the sake of a newer, more gentle humanity, well, you don't stand a chance. So, of course, I had to talk to her. Hey, girl, do you have change for $1? She said, I'm sorry, but we don't give change to transients. Hey, lady, I'm not exactly in transition here. I just need some change so I can make a call, get a ride home. She reached into the pocket of her jeans and pulled out 3 dimes. Here, now leave me alone. Okay, no problem. So I made my way back out to the phone booth. And before I put the money in, I noticed an interesting little message where the phone book should have been. 3-way sets. Susie and Jim. 214-369-1993. Word. Already missed dinner. Fuck it. I better call my dad and let him know what's up. So I dialed my dad's number. The phone was busy. The money came back down. Had some time to burn. Saw that message again. And thought, what the fuck? Well, I'm not on drugs, so that's not a legitimate excuse for me to continually pull the mic out. Well, I lie, yeah, I am on drugs. Anyway, so I'm standing there in this phone booth. I see this message, and I figure, what the fuck? The 3 dimes seemed to choke for a second inside the phone. And then it started to ring. Once, twice, 3 times, and then a machine. And it was a guy. Fuck! Maybe I had the wrong number. I hung up. But about 20 seconds later, the phone began to ring. Star 69, I imagine. and I picked it up. Hello? Yeah, did you just call here? Yeah, I did. I really need a ride. Oh. Well, where are you? Well, I'm over on Northwest Highway. Well, I'm in Oak Cliff, so I don't guess that's happening. Well, I noticed there's an ad here inside the phone book. Three-way sex. Are you Jim? Yeah, I'm Jim. Well, what's the deal with this? Are you sure this is real? Yeah, it's real. What's your name? I couldn't think of anything. This name came flying out. Jeremy. Ron Jeremy. The guy quickly responded, "The Ron Jeremy?" And I didn't know who the real Ron Jeremy was. Truthfully, I was thinking of the kid in the Pearl Jam video. My wife would love to meet you, sir. Oh, yeah? Is it true what they say? Can you really suck your own... What? What was that? Can I suck my own what? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I know you must get asked that all the time. Well, no, I don't. And no, I can't. But what does your wife look like anyway? With no awkward pause, the man proudly explained, "She's 34, 26, 34. And she doesn't go anywhere without her best friend, Candy." Candy? That can't be her real name. Let me ask you something, man. Do you really just stand there while someone else does your wife? What, do you kill them afterwards? The awkward pause became a sort of revelation. And then he hung up. Every stripper has her own locker backstage at the club. It's where she'll hide her clothes, her shame, and her dignity while she's up there on the ramp. As TJ climbs up on stage, she drapes her tanning booth legs around a pole and starts looking for money. She sees a green piece of paper with Andrew Jackson's picture on it down on the end of the stage. So, with a quick squat and sachet, there she is, bent down in front of Smart Guy. She leans over, and then he is allowed the privilege of inserting the $20 bill into her underwear. There's no orgasm, no sense of closure, no real economy. I remember thinking to myself, man, I could eat for a week on 20 bucks. She bends over and gives him a quick eyeful of that $20 ass, and then they're even. She starts looking for more money. She sees another green piece of paper with Andrew Jackson's picture on it on the other end of the stage. So, this time it looks kind of like a limo driver. She makes her way over. She gives him a smile and he smiles back, and it's just like that. He leans over, she leans over, he puts the $20 in her underwear, and then he whispers something into her ear. She nods and then makes her way backstage, where she tips the house mom $5 on her way out the door. She makes her way to the parking lot, walks over to the limousine. The window comes down. She leans in, and he asks for the menu. Well, let's see. 150 for straight sex, 125 for head, 175 for butt sex, and for $750 you can do whatever the fuck you want. He says no problem. The door opens, she climbs in, and they head off. He leans over and opens the glove box and produces a small glass crack pipe. Here you go, girl. We'll be there in just a minute. God, this is easy money. Hello again. It's me. Me and my last $4. Soon it'll just be me and a gut full of bile from Burger Hitler. Or me and a copy of Hustler Jugs. Are barely legal.
Yeah!
Which kind of hungry I am. Here in the next hour or so. God, it's hard to get up off the couch. You know, the $2.99 meal deal is a radical breakthrough in personal economics. You pick any 8 39-cent menu items and a large Coke with a free refill, and you're set for the next 4 hours. $2.99 worth of beef, pork, hooves, snouts, tails, beaks, bones, hair, feces, snot, blood, chicken guts, Michael Urban's urinalysis. Yeah, belly up to the counter and start asking for all your favorites. My last $4. 3 sweaty singles and a pocket full of nickels, dimes, and pennies. It all spends the same. But all it's really buying is time. relief from that gnaw in your stomach. $4 guarantees you won't go hungry, at least for the next 3 hours. But in reality, in an hour, I'll feel like I swallowed a car battery. I'll be flat broke, and I'll wonder why I didn't buy the magazines instead. As I walk up and down the street, nobody has much to say to me. They lower the brim of their hat as to not make eye contact. They got nothing to say to me, and I got nothing to say to them. Come on, man, I wasn't gonna ask you for any money. I don't want a cigarette. I don't even smoke. But they keep walking that way, and I keep walking that way. You know, the hungrier you get, the uglier you get. The hungrier you get, the uglier you get. Ugly people. Ugly people. The routine starts about the same time every day. 11:58 a.m. I wake to the closing theme music of some shitty soap opera, and I'm up and out the bed. I woke up before my girlfriend today, went in the bathroom. I noticed there's just a little bit of toothpaste left. Should I take it? Nah, I can't do that to her. So I say, fuck it. And then I climb back in bed. She gets up, does her thing in the bathroom, and then I see the toothpaste. Fuck. So we get up, spend about 30 minutes trying to get our shit together, and then decide we're going to the Gold Rush. But her car won't start. So we spend the next half hour trying to push start that motherfucker over on McComas. Finally we get it rolling, and we're off into the rush. We sit down, have a John Wayne. She don't say anything to me, and I don't say anything to her. I read the paper, and there ain't nothing going on. Because it's the routine. And the routine happens the same every day. There is no variation from the norm. But maybe one day, I'll get up, use the rest of the toothpaste, and be up and on my way out the door. Only this time, it's for good. And I'm not coming back. Did you hear what I said? I said I'm not coming back. And that's that.
They see it as an intrusion into their territory, you know.
This is a new one called To Kill a Roommate. God, I hate this guy. Popping off all this shit about some guy who's on his way over with a big pound of Humboldt County shit. About how everything's gonna be alright. Got that look on his face like he's got everything under control. Kinda like that guy. I don't know him, you know, he's a friend of a friend. He's a friend of my roommates, and I don't know what the fuck he's doing in our apartment, but here he is. Taking up space. Talking shit. This guy's really giving me a headache. He's not paying any rent. He used up the rest of my toilet paper. And he keeps walking in on my girlfriend while she's in the bathroom. He keeps knocking on the door when we're having sex. I think this guy thinks that we're actually going to invite him into our room for some three-way. If he only knew. So what do you do in a situation like this? Do I sneak in the middle of the night and club him over the head with a hammer? That's a little too messy. Maybe I should, poison his ass. How about that? Well, no, that's not painful enough. This guy's really pissing me off. What exactly can I do? Oh, I got it. I'll heave a blow dryer into the shower while he's in there shampooing his hair. I never met a motherfucker that took 45 minutes to shampoo his hair. But this guy does. Uses up all of the hot water. Used up the last of my clean towels. And he thinks everything's okay. Not for long, pal. Not for long. confessional. When I was a kid, my parents used to kidnap me and my sister every Friday afternoon, take us up to a lake house at Lake Texoma. Every Friday afternoon, my dad would come home early from work, fill up the station wagon with all his bullshit, his golf clubs, his hot dog buns, his alcohol-free beer, which didn't exist at the time, but let's just pretend it did, because if it did, I guarantee you my dad would be drinking it. Every Friday, he'd kidnap me and my sister and throw us in the car and take us away from all the things that would surely corrupt our minds. Taking us away from the high school football games, Marlboro Reds, Klan meetings, all that shit. So there we'd be. Friday afternoon, I'd roll around, and there I'd be by myself out in the fucking woods with nothing to do. And we had this old outhouse that was out back of our lake house. Nobody'd used it for years. So that's where I'd go sneak back there and roll a fatty and start talking some ridiculous bullshit. You see, I was lonely. I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I'd get really stoned and then the weirdest shit would just come flying out of my mouth. For no good reason. That Frank fucked Bear this afternoon. News at 4. Now that didn't mean anything. Because nothing means anything. Way too isolated here. Way too by myself. Start smoking another thing. And I'd start popping off some bullshit that I didn't think anybody could hear. I thought I was by myself. Then one night, when I was kicking some just complete gibberish, I heard my dad's voice. Jeff, are you all right? What's going on out there? Nothing's going on out there. What were you just saying? It doesn't matter. I wasn't saying anything. Just go back in the house. Jeff, you've been out there for 8 hours. Looks like it's about to start raining. Look, Dad, I don't care. I'm not hanging out in the lake house with you, all right? I want to be out here. You're in there. I'm out here. He said, whatever you say. Then he went back in the house. So I lit up another fatty. And I've been kicking some bullshit. I didn't even know what the fuck I was talking about. And then out of nowhere, it started to pour down rain. And my dad came back out. And that motherfucker grabbed me by the back of my head. And dragged me into the safety of the lake house. And that was my outhouse confession. used to be. These days, when you hear somebody say PE, you think they're talking about Public Enemy or Politically Easy, which is the PC way of saying you just don't give a shit. But when I was in high school, PE meant physical education. It was the only class I ever passed. Because all you had to do was show up. We had this one coach that didn't like me too much. He had one big tooth in the front of his head. And he used to like to get right down on top of me. And say, son, do you like to run? Because nobody likes to run. But we had this thing in PE called a cross country. And if you fucked up at all, like not saying here loud enough, or wearing the wrong kind of shirt, you got to run cross countries. I got to run cross countries almost every day. There was this other kid in the class named KK Jacks. And I liked KK, man. He had long hair and he smoked cigarettes and he wasn't afraid of the coaches and he could run faster than any motherfucker on the track team. I wanted to be KK. I thought it was cool. They'd say, KK, run across country, and he'd run halfway around the school and go light up a cigarette. It was dope. Then one day, Coach Keith got right down on top of me. It said, are you one of those faggots? And I was too young. I didn't know what a faggot was. But I assumed it wasn't good. Or he would have been asking. So I looked at him and said, what's a faggot? And he said, good. Just checking. But then other times, he'd be in the locker room taking a dump. And he'd say, hey, Jeff, bring me some toilet paper. And I would.